Okay, in the comments of a previous video, I had mentioned that I was turning in some SK tools for warranty service and replacement. And there were some people curious as to what I would get back, being that SK Tools was recently, well, a year or two now, I guess. It was sold to a Chinese corporation. And some of, or possibly all of the production was moved to China. And they were wondering what I would get back, basically. So I said I would do a video on it, and I'm doing it now. We'll start with these half-inch drive ratchets here. Now, obviously, I did not turn on all three of these. One of these is Chinese, one of these is standard 2000s issue USA, and one of them is the one that was broken, which is a 1950s SK and a diamond logo half-inch drive. We'll start with this one. This is the reason why I had to send it in for warranty. I don't know how this happened. I did not do this. I bought one of those box kits, used a half-inch drive socket set in a metal box. And this was the ratchet that was in that kit. And it had been broken by somebody. I never actually broke an SK ratchet. I used SK ratchets almost 40 years, and I never broke one. Years back, I bought a Snap-on 3/8 drive flex head when they first came out with the bent handle and a black plastic handle at the bottom. And it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. It was like $80 or $90 in 1988 dollars, which today is probably several hundred or more. But I broke it the very first time I used it. Brought it back when the Snap-on 2-liter came around again, and he mumbled and grumbled, but he replaced the head on it. And next week, I was back with it again. I'd used it twice that time. Both times minor jobs, very minor jobs. And it broke again, more mumbling, replaced it. Third time I came back, he basically suggested I was using it to take off lug nuts. Well, that went over like a lead balloon with me, because I don't abuse my tools. I pay a lot of money for them. I treat them well because I depend on them, or I did when I was still working. I definitely did not abuse. For instance, I would never use a ratchet where a breaker bar is needed. I would never use a 3/8 ratchet where a half-inch drive is needed. And I certainly wouldn't use a half-inch drive where a 3/4 drive was needed. And I had all of those tools available to me. So I did not have to abuse my tools. No smacking them with hammers, using screwdrivers as chisels, or any of that other nonsense that people do. But I have been the recipient of tools from such people, and this ratchet was one of them. You can see the old SK diamond logo on there, 42470, and what I got back was this one. This is the new, brand new production, made in China, half-inch drive ratchet. Now, it looks pretty close to the 1950s one, but even the 50s one was changed a tiny bit. For the most part, SK did not change their ratchets from the 1930s all the way up to present day. They came out with different ratchets, but they always had the old basic standbys. Whoops. This is the 2000s production one, USA made. This is the Chinese one. Head looks the same relief cut here for the spring, the clip that you pop off to pop the head out. Same knurling here. I don't really see much of a difference there. This is a little bit cleaner. We flip it over, you see the major difference right away. See it yet? Yeah, right there. The USA ratchet says USA. The Chinese ratchet does not. And the reason for that is the rule says that it has to be somewhere on the packaging. And that's how craftsmen started getting away with that sort of thing back in the 1990s, when they started sneaking in Chinese tools, and nobody really noticed at first because it said in tiny print on the packaging, made in China. They knew that made in China was not a selling point, especially to people who use tools. We made in this country the finest tools in the world, and everybody knew that. And mechanics equated overseas manufactured tools from Asia with cheap throwaway crap. And that's why they did not put it on the tool. They got around the rule by putting it on the packaging. If you bought this in a hardware store somewhere, it would be on the packaging, made in China, but you will not see it on the tool. Now, in the old days when SK was an American company, they used that USA as a selling point. And it was a good one. Very good marketing tool there. They knew if their tool said USA, that would encourage people to buy it. And that goes all the way back to the first day, which for SK, I believe, is the early 1930s. I have SK sockets that old. And the ones that actually say SK Chrome on them, and that's pretty old. And they say USA. They always did. But I have no idea how good a tool this is. I will probably never use it. My days of using tools professionally are over. I'm retired now, and most I use is 1/4 inch drive sit, maybe a 3/8 drive for little projects on the lawnmower or my Victrola work or working on guns or whatever. I don't use heavy-duty tools anymore. So it's never going to get a field test. All I can do is look at it and tell you, that it looks and sounds like any other SK ratchet. There you go. Well, this one doesn't have grease in it. This one might, because it does sound a little different, doesn't it? This has a more positive click. This one, not so much. I really can't hear. Well, let me try it the other direction. Let me switch. Come on. Okay. No, it still doesn't sound the same. The sound is definitely different. But then it may be a difference in the head design, because I did request a head repair kit for one of these ratchets, maybe 6-7 months ago. Really all I needed, I picked up a ratchet that was missing the thumb wheel on the back here, the directional changer here on the back. And I wanted to get a parts kit to replace that. They could not come up with one. They no longer had parts kits available for the old ratchets. And I guess they hadn't introduced this ratchet yet because they couldn't send me one. They sent me a gift card instead that I could use on their website for like $80 to buy another ratchet, and or buy another tool if I wanted to, which I did. I forget what I bought. What did I buy? I think I bought a 1/4 inch drive flex head, which actually turned out to be USA production. I was impressed with that. And I put that one away. I didn't have one. I figured that would be cool. I bought that instead. But now they do have these, but it sounds different, so maybe it is different. I don't know. I'm not going to take it apart to find out. There's bound to be some differences. This one really can't tell because it's destroyed. But that was the story of the 1/2 inch drive ratchet. Then there were the screwdrivers. These two screwdrivers right here. These are from the 1990s. At the time, a French tool company owned SK. They had bought SK, and these do say France in tiny little letters. See if I can, yeah, there it is. You see it? Where it says it right there, France, right in the middle. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. They were good quality screwdrivers. I like the design here with the little hex, so you can put a box wrench on there and kind of get a little bit more grip, especially with these larger screwdrivers. There were no problems there. Standard SK 80s and 90s style handle on here. They had legitimately chipped off ends. Now, SK is not going to give you a new screwdriver if you tried to reshape the end. If you broke it and then tried to reshape it, they're not going to give you a new screwdriver. Because that equates to, willfully damaging the tool. And they won't cover that. But these look good now because a friend of mine saw them on my crap pile. He picked them up and said, I asked him, what are you going to do with this? Don't worry about it. He took them away. I didn't know what he was going to do. I thought he needed a pry bar or something. He brought it to somebody who owed him a favor, who had access to CNC machinery, and he had them re-tipped for me, which is fine. But, of course, the thing of it is I'm never going to really use them. They were done properly, which means, they weren't ground off on a wheel or anything like that. They were properly heat-treated and everything else. And they're perfectly good screwdrivers again. But I had already ordered the replacements from SK. This is what they sent me. Let's make a little room here. This is 81005, which equates to the number on this one. This is the old 81005. And the one next to it is an 81006. And you can see the difference was about 1.5 inches. It's just a longer screwdriver, a longer shank screwdriver. And they replaced it with a new 81005, which is this one, which is a little bit longer than this one and a little bit longer than that one. I guess they figured they'd just turn that in, these two screwdrivers into that one and call it good. The screwdriver looks perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it that I can see. The chrome plating is very nice. The handle is nice. You can see it's actually a little beefier than the older ones, but I think this is the standard SK style from like the 2000s era, at least the last 10 or 15 years. So yeah, gone is the hex piece here, but I think that was already gone when the French sold SK to its who bought SK? Their own management, the company's management bought SK. And they ran it until it was sold to the Chinese a couple years ago. But that's what they sent me. And you know what? These are not cheap screwdrivers. This is like $36 or something like that. None of these tools are cheap. These ratchets are expensive. You know, the screwdrivers are expensive. Just because they're made in China does not mean that you're getting inexpensive tools. Not a bit. Because SK sells to professionals. They don't really sell too much, you know, to ordinary, regular people who need to tighten up a screw on a hinge in the house or something. You know, no cheap dollar store stuff. Their stuff's always been a little upscale. Not quite to the price range of Snap-on, but very close. Very close. And their warranty is a lot easier to deal with. And I had a Snap-on tool dealer tell me in 1988, and I'll tell you the story of this. I think I might have mentioned this before in another tool video, maybe not. I had just purchased a brand new 3/8 drive flex head with the moving head, bent handle ratchet, 3/8 ratchet with the black plastic handle on the bottom. And it cost, I think, around $90, which was a lot of money in 1988. That equates to, I don't know, $200 or $300 today, probably more in today's dollars. And the very first time I used it, I broke it. And I believe I was taking a 10 millimeter bolt out of a GM Chevy Caprice fiberglass, what the hell was it? The radiator shroud. Just broke, snap, tick, with no effort at all. I was amazed, and pissed. I brought it back the next week. He put a brand new parts kit in it, you know, replaced the gears in the head. And you know, all the while mumbling something. Here you go, and gave it back. Next week, I was back to him again when he showed up at the truck. Because back then, like today, you bought your Snap-on tools right off the truck. He came to you. Once a week, they'd show up. You'd buy what you need, warranty, service, whatever. And Snap-on's always been big about the warranty. So here we go. I used it twice this time. Again, small jobs, little shit, and it broke. Well, I'm irritated. And he put a new parts kit in it. You know, didn't say too much, and I took it back. And I think that time I used it 3 or 4 times. And again, it broke. Third time now. Brought it back to him. Oh, you know, I don't have any parts kits on the truck. Okay, when are you going to have? They're back ordered. Okay, how about you take that ratchet off the shelf there, regular 3/8, take the head out of that temporarily. I need this tool. I can't do that. No, that's a brand new tool. I can't do that. I can't sell it new then, blah, blah, blah. And I said, what am I supposed to do here? He says, well, and then he suggested that I was taking off lug nuts with my 3/8 drive ratchet. Lug nuts. Yeah, that went over like a fart in church. Let me tell you, I was pissed. And he knew I was pissed. And then the pièce de résistance. He tells me, if you want a good ratchet that'll hold up to lug nuts, you should buy an SK ratchet. Really? You want me to go to your competition to buy tools after I've been spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on tools here? Really? That's, you know what? Get out. Don't come back. Take your shit and get out. And he did. He left. Did not return. And I did not get my ratchet repaired by him. As it happened, a friend of mine had the same issue going on at a local dealership in town, and every mechanic in the shop was having problems with this same dealer getting warranty service. So he had his dad write a letter to Kenosha, Wisconsin, Snap-on Tools headquarters, detailing the problem and threatening legal action, all of that stuff that will get corporate types' attention very quickly. and it has the potential to be kind of a PR nightmare for them. So they had somebody come down special to the shop, and they actually waited. My friend was he said he was on a test drive, a long one too, he said. And they waited until he got back. They wouldn't leave. Waited until he got back. He got back there, and then they went around and took a list of all the tools he needed, all the tools everybody else needed, and in that pile he had my ratchet, and he told him about the ratchet. So very quickly after that, they had every new tool down there, and I guess they got a new dealer out of it too. I took that brand new Snap-on ratchet, complete with this little hang tag on it. I stuck it in a drawer, and I did not touch it for 35 years. I just put it away and didn't bother. I knew what the result would be. You know, I'd use it once or twice, it would just break. There was some problem with Snap-on ratchets, 3/8 ratchets, or maybe all of them at that time, I don't know, that they had a habit of breaking. Not that they were ever the strongest ratchet anyway, they weren't. The tool dealer was right. He wasn't lying. He was right when he told me that SK was making really good. He said the best, okay, they're good. They're not the best. They're good, very good. Isco tools, they went out, I believe, in 1992. They stopped making tools in 92, but they made by far the strongest ratchet I ever. Looks very, very similar head to this, except while this has one rocker in there that engages the teeth, Isco had two sets. So it was very, very difficult to break an Isco ratchet. In fact, I never did. I bought Isco ratchets in the early 1980s, and I still have them today. You know, I never use them in my regular work. I use them for all my hobby stuff. That was my go-to toolbox for my antique cars and all that stuff. And I did a lot of work with antique cars over the years. I used the hell out of those ratchets, and they're still good today. In fact, I just serviced them not even a week ago. Cleaned them, repacked them with grease, and they are good to go. They don't even look worn inside, despite many decades of use. I never broke an SK ratchet. The Snap-on dealer was right to send me to SK. I never regretted it. I don't consider their sockets to be any better than Snap-ons, but their ratchets are definitely top-notch. Never had a problem with an SK ratchet. The ones I've had that were broken, like this one and others, came to me from other people. Other people broke them. I just turned them in for warranty and got new ones. I never had a problem with their ratchets, and I used one SK. I replaced that Snap-on flex head with an SK flex head, and I used that ratchet every single day for 35 years until I eventually had to go to eBay to buy one because I didn't want to pay new price. I went to eBay and found another one, almost new condition, only because the joint up here with the flex was getting loose and it was kind of flopping around. You know, it's like a universal joint in a car that gets bad. It was flopping around. I didn't want to turn it in, though, because, you know, I had history with that ratchet. I'd used it for so many years, and it never broke. I never had, the head was still good and everything, so I didn't want to turn it in for a warranty replacement. And at that time, I would have had to turn it in. They didn't have the deal they have now, which I'll explain in a minute. And I used that one up until, essentially, I still have it to this day. Both of them. I still have both of them. That original ratchet is still doing duty. It's in my truck. You know, it's in the truck's toolkit, which doesn't get used often, so I'm not worried if that one's a little loose. Anyway, that was the story about why I started using SK ratchets and why I stopped being a Snap-on Tools customer in 1988. And the SK warranty, very, very simple. They've simplified the process, much simpler than Snap-on. I mean, if you have a Snap-on truck coming to you every week because you're in a dealership or a garage, a professional garage, then it's not a problem. You walk up to the dealer on truck, here, fix and make better, and they take care of it for you. If you have to do it through the website, they want you to mail some stuff back to them. They want you to, what's the other thing? They want to see your receipts. Who the hell keeps tool receipts for 40, 50 years? Nobody does. You know, and I'm guilty of that too. I didn't keep my receipts, and I got stuff from Snap-on. But SK, all I had to do was take a picture of the issue of the tool. Click, took a picture. Go to the website, SK Tool Warranty. You fill out the web page, your name, your address, where you want it sent, what the part number of the tool is, what the issue with the tool is. Write it out. The head is cracked. Okay. And then you submit it with the picture, and they will give you a confirmation, and then they send you the new tool. That's it. And then all they ask is you take this and you throw it out, which is what I'm going to do anyway. Actually, I'm going to put it in my Broken Tools Museum. Not like it's ever going to get used again. They just don't want somebody else finding it and doing the same thing, turning it in. You know, that's not right. I would never do that. I'm not going to be greedy like that. You know, I will turn in a legitimately tool that I legitimately broke, maybe a snap socket or whatever. I buggered up some sockets over the years, and plenty of these bits got buggered up, you know. But I'm not going to, you know, try turning in the same thing 3, 4, 5, 6 times, especially when I don't even need it. All right, these are the rest of the tools. There's some more screwdrivers here. These are all green handle, modern Chinese production SK now. These are some number 3 Phillips here. We have another itty bitty Phillips here. These had buggered tips, pretty common. We have some of the tools I got back were actually USA made. I'm assuming old stock. They're probably liquidating old stock that they've had around for a while. But these are not. This is a 1316 spark plug socket that looks just like the old one I turned in, except the old one was old enough to have knurling here on the tool, which I always liked. It gives you grip on the tool. I always liked the SK sockets that had that. Never liked when they went to the, you know, this style that was smooth-sided. Just like I never cared for the screwdriver handles that were smooth like this, because your hand, when it's greasy, and mine were always greasy, your hand can slip on that pretty easily. You can't get a good grip on it. We have, what is this? This is a 1/4-inch bit. You know, I buggered up plenty of these. The tips get all buggered up on them. This is Chinese. They sent me back. I went through that already. We have, some bits here. We have a 10 millimeter bit here. 2 3/8 bits. I have 4 or 5 of these broken somewhere. Not broken so much, it's just worn out. You know, right around here. This is the size you would use on a 1970s General Motors vehicle, like a Caprice or a Nova or something, with disc brakes, the caliper bolts. The caliper bolts were 10 millimeter like this. This is the tool you used to get them off. So I went through quite a bit of those in all of the brakes I took apart over the years. And, you know, back then it was harder to turn in tools if you didn't have a local dealer, which we did not. And no convenient website to go to. So I would just take them and toss them into a bucket and leave them there. And now that I'm going through my tools and sorting out what I'm keeping, what I'm getting rid of, I am turning in the broken tools. You know, while they're still available. I don't know what the history of SK is going to be. You know, there's some tariff things coming up that could affect their bottom line. They may go out. I don't know. And if they do, I would like to have all my tools back. This is all USA stuff, like a T27 1/4-inch drive. That's always nice. I went through a lot of it. Jeeps use that size a lot on like grills and headlight doors, things like that. 1/4-inch drive sockets. As a metric 14 millimeter. These all say USA on. Let's see if I find one of the bigger ones. You can see that. Okay, there we go. You see? USA. Says it right on the tool. This you can look all you want. You're not gonna see that because this was not made in the USA. So again, it's on the packaging. If it had been sold retail in a store, it would be anyway. You know, more bits, a 3/4 1/2-inch drive shallow socket, 2 19 millimeter 3/8 drive shallows. These are both USA. Deep socket USA. It was 11/16 or something, I think. 3/4. I'm sorry, 3/4. This says it somewhere on there, or is this one of the Chinese tools? Or come on, where are you? I should just not be lazy and take it out of the packaging, but I don't feel like it. So then I gotta. Oh, there we go. USA. See, right there. These are the last USA tools made by SK. Torx. I think it's a T40 or T45. And then this is USA. You can make it out on there, I think, a little bit. And just some regular stuff. As I find these tools, broken tools, I'll put them aside. I'm turning them in. And you might get lucky and get back USA stuff like I did with some. I didn't get all back. I got some back that were actually old stock USA tools. They are never going to be broken with me because the chances of my using these tools ever again are slim to none because I have other tools. These are all extras. It's all extra stuff. This is all long since replaced. If I lost a socket from a box set, I just got one off of eBay, or I picked one up at an estate sale or a flea market. And I always bought extra sockets too, and sometimes I would see a broken one, I would take that too. And just with the idea one day I will turn it in. Now, this is that day. This is the day when I'm turning all of this stuff in, you know, getting it all straightened out, putting together all my sets, making sure I have everything that I need in them if I decide to sell them, which I probably will. But that should answer the question as to what you're getting from SK these days. Not a very good selection of SK tools because they do sell a lot of tools, but some basic ones anyway. I don't have a whole lot of metric tools in there because, well, I didn't work on a lot of metric stuff. At work I did, but not on my own. I was always into vintage American iron, you know, just like my tools. I always tried to buy American-made tools made by Americans for America's working man. That was me, and that's the tools that I bought. And I bought a lot of Craftsman, USA Craftsman. I stopped buying Craftsman when they started having them made overseas. I bought Snap-on briefly before I got pissed off about that. I bought a lot of SNK. A lot of it, well, SK, not SNK, SK. I bought a lot of SK. Toolbox is stuffed with them. Just absolutely stuffed with SK tools. Wrenches, sockets, specialty tools, screwdrivers, you name it, I bought it. And I used it all, every day, quite a lot. And I was extremely disappointed to hear that they had sold out to a foreign buyer and the tool production had been moved overseas. Those are skilled American jobs that were flushed away. Knowledge lost, you know, the skills lost. And when that's gone, it doesn't come back. I'm sorry, it's never coming back. You know, that's it. You'd have to start from scratch. I suspect by the look of that half-inch drive ratchet that they took the tooling to China to make all of this stuff. So, you know, the chances are it's not going to be coming back here anytime soon. Unfortunate, but what are you going to do? You know, I was disappointed, but nobody gave a shit what my opinion was about that. So, you know, there you go.